DLSU Radio, Green Giants FM. Welcome to episode 6 of The Real Deal podcast. You've got me, DJ Cora.
And me, DJ Dana.
What's up, it's Joaquin.
And this is Phey.
All right, guys, let's get the ball rolling because a lot of things have happened since our very last episode. But one thing that I believe has really gained a lot of attention is the fact that Percy Jackson is getting a TV adaptation thanks to Disney Plus.
Yes!
How does everyone feel about that?
I know Dana has a lot of sentiments about that. So I'll let you go
We're
first.
trying to keep it short, so let's just say super excited and leave it at that.
Alright, that's good.
That's true. And just for everyone to have a refresher, Percy Jackson and the Olympians is about this kid who's named Percy Jackson, who's a teenager, and he gets to learn a lot more about his life and his powers when he realizes that he is the son of a Greek god, Poseidon himself. And so the cast, I think, is what made it newsworthy, wouldn't you say? Because we have Walker Scobell from the Adam Project, who will star as Percy Jackson. And he's a kid, like he's 13 years old. So
He's a
it's very
kid.
close.
Yeah. It's way different than when they casted Logan Lerman. Logan Lerman. And then seeing now Percy's an actual kid. It's like refreshing, but at least it's faithful to the books. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned it, actually, I think that's what made the first attempt somewhat divisive among fans of the Percy Jackson series, or the Half-Bloods as they call it. But I think it's because when we move on to the why, it really is because book fan base will usually want their film adaptations to be accurate, faithful to the material. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what exactly went wrong with Percy Jackson? Do you have any guesses or maybe observations as to what happened there?
I think
Or at least the first one.
Yeah. Like we were talking about the age casting a while ago. As someone who grew up with the PJO books, it was very frustrating to see them cast, these children going on this whole growing up journey to casting. Well, teens who have already gone through that experience. And I think aside from just that, just so many things about it were really wrong. So many plot points were changed. For example, the second movie, the Sea of Monsters, it crammed the last 4 books right into just one, which is very frustrating. And they had the whole pearls thing, which wasn't in the book. Just none of it was recognizable. And I think that was the problem for fans, I think.
Yeah, just a far deviation from the original source material in general. And the fact that the first movie was just alright. And then I feel like they really had something to prove in the second movie. And they did the complete opposite of it. They actually just botched the whole thing. So I'm glad that they're able to do like a refresh in terms of the series. And now they have Rick Riordan actually working super close in the series, if I'm not mistaken. So that's good. Yeah.
That restores a lot of faith, I think. Yeah. Sorry, you're saying Phey?
Yeah.
But there are also I realized that there are movies that tend to get Hollywoodified, as we say that they make it more exciting and dramatic, but it's also because that they have to fit some of the chapters into one scene that it does get cramped up. But they really need to fill the original concept. But there are movies that lose that kind of concept, like Nancy Drew. Like the Nancy Drew film in 2007. If you guys watched it, but if you guys haven't, it had we know that Nancy Drew had tons of fans, but as me, I'm one of the fans of Nancy Drew. But when I watched the 2007 movie with Emma Roberts starring Nancy Drew, it was kind of a bit downer for me. Because, some characters had too soft of a delivery. I was always thinking that maybe there's some intonations that needed more stress. Especially, of course, if it's Nancy Drew, you will have to use such technical terms to become a detective. And some scenes weren't even so serious. It was almost like Scooby-Doo-ish. It wasn't really detective vibes. No, Scooby-Doo is a good movie, but it's a detective movie, so it has to be heavy, right? You need to have that tension. And then it's also not resonating with the characters because on the books, they have these little pictures that they show you what Nancy looks like. So the setting in that movie, it was really 2000s. It wasn't 1980s. I was like so confused. Like, how could this be a 1980s film where they're wearing short skirts? Like, how is that even 1980s? I mean, that's already too not conservative anymore. It's more even the modern style already. So I guess a lot of Nancy Drew fans, or like me, we're a bit disappointed, but we really, really wish that other books wouldn't do that, because it just really loses the point. I mean, they really missed a lot of points there. Well, that's just for me.
Yeah. I'd say that's why I think it's important for people to stay faithful to the stuff from the material, because that's what caught the attention of the fan base.
True.
In the first place. So you're losing that. Yeah.
That's exactly right. And I think especially when it comes to Nancy Drew. I mean, when you first told us about this, Phey, when you said Emma Roberts was Nancy Drew, I was like, that doesn't really fit. And I think that's just a good example of like how much Hollywood will try to make things appeal to the mainstream in a way that doesn't really vibe with the original, that makes, for example, Nancy Drew so special, right? I mean, even to the fashion, which we've talked about, is like it's so fun. It's meant to be fun, and then they really messed it up. And I think when we think of Hollywood messing up, I think there's no more notorious example than Riverdale, isn't there? What are you guys
We're going here, huh?
Yeah.
We're going here, huh?
But yeah, what have you heard? It's gone crazy. It's gone off the rails. I mean, hasn't it?
Off the rails is an understatement. I think
I'm honestly surprised it's still going.
Yeah, I think all of us are, like, to make it to 7 seasons. I mean, if you think about it, it's so crazy. Like, the Archie comics, right? It's just about 4 teens. They just go to Pop's chocolate shop, and then Archie's like, oh, I can't choose. Do I want Betty, the smart nerd, or Veronica, the cool girl? That was as shallow as it got. And now, apparently, did you know, spoiler alert, if you care about Riverdale spoilers, they are in an alternate universe written by Jughead, and it's called Rivervale. So they are in an entirely separate universe.
Great way to put it there.
Right? I mean, it's so crazy that we've gotten this far. And apparently, although everyone thought Archie and Betty were invincible already, Archie now has superpowers. He's super strong, and Betty can see people's auras when they're like bad people or something. That's a thing now as well, which is super crazy.
Gosh.
Right? I mean, I think that's the perfect example of like something that's just really deviated so much from the source material to the point that no one's enjoying it. Isn't it?
I mean, if you're gonna revamp it, you have to revamp it right.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. And I think when you think about book adaptations that were done, right, this is something I'm really passionate about. And as a book fan, when you have something of yours or a book series you really love, and you know it's going to be made onto the screen, I feel like fans are willing to support it, right? And to put a lot of money towards it.
For sure, yeah.
Right?
True.
Because, I mean, for example, that's what... Right? I mean, do you guys have any experiences with that? Or like something like a book that you read that you were like, oh, okay, I really want to support this because I know this is going to be good and I love the creators behind it.
I would say like it comes to the point where you want to buy like merch of it. Like for example, like you, I read the Percy Jackson books when I was younger, and like I always wanted to get that Camp Half-Blood shirt, the orange one.
Yes, that's so iconic.
Yeah, exactly. that's one example though. Yeah.
Like for example, when Harry Potter was a thing, right? Everyone was lining up for it. Right now, it's a whole franchise. You can buy like scarves and everything, and I think that's just like proof. If you do it well, you'll have like a massive army behind you. And I think for me, of course, I'm gonna bring this in. If you know me, if you follow me on my social media, I'm gonna bring Heartstopper. It's my favorite TV series. There it is. I've said it's my favorite series.
There it is.
Sorry guys, I'll keep this very quick. So, I mean, it is my favorite series of all time because it was a graphic novel. And I think it's the critically acclaimed Netflix series. It just got 2 more seasons, not to brag or anything.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is super cool.
Oh.
And
wow. The coveted 100%.
Exactly, right? And I think what's just so cool about it is that there are these references to the original source material. So just a super quick summary. It's just about these 2 British teen boys who fall in love and discover themselves. It's a super light and fluffy read. And so all throughout the TV series, they have like references to the graphic novels. For example, there are heart-stopper moments. So like the key moments when they first, kiss, or when they first get together. You have little animated leaves during these key scenes that just adds to the cuteness.
Yeah, the
factor
build-up
of
is
it.
there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just overall, you just have more you have. Because Alice Oseman, the creator, was really involved with it, you can see that they made an effort for it to be really faithful. But I think one of the challenges that she herself said was it wasn't a word-for-word adaptation because she had never worked on a TV series before. So the challenge was to expand the story and go beyond the original audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wanted to build on that point actually, because you mentioned the animated leaves. I think those are like love letters from the creators to those who read the books, right? Yeah. But you did mention something about word for word adaptation. So like Heartstopper, the challenge is to definitely expand the story. Although one example I can think of that was stayed faithful to the book is Dune, the recently produced Dune, the one by Denis Villeneuve, if I pronounce that correctly.
Wow.
And I think one of the reasons why this adaptation of Dune worked so well is because it did stay true to the source material. And that's something that the previous 1984 adaptation of Dune, I don't know if you guys heard, but then Dune already had an adaptation way before.
Yes.
That completely flopped in the box office. And I believe that one of the reasons why this adaptation of Dune did so well is because, number one, it's the futuristic setting. Technology is such a big aspect, and the world building of like a sci-fi type of movie is so crucial that if the visuals aren't there, it's like, why even make me a sci-fi movie? And the thing about Dune as well is that it took its time. It's an almost 3-hour movie, and a lot of people who complained about the movie, if there are people who complained about the movie, said it's slow. But those who really appreciate the movie, they mentioned that they really do appreciate the slow pace because of the world building. And I think that's something that a lot of movies fail to do, is that they don't respect the source material. And with Dune, like, the world building is such a key aspect of it. And the fact that Denis Villeneuve actually got to execute that is really good. Although, on the flip side, a movie that strayed away so far from the source material, Joker. If you don't know, Joker is a complete twist of the origin of Joker. Like, even in the comics, Arthur Fleck is an unknown character. There's literally no Arthur Fleck in the comics. But the thing with the Joker is that it had such high expectations because, of course, it's a well-known supervillain, and there's been countless of Joker adaptations. So, of course, it had a lot to carry on the shoulders. But then, it really did execute. And the reason I think it executed is just because it's just a good movie in general. Like, it just hit everything correctly with the characters, the acting specifically, and the story overall. I think that's one example of a movie that strayed so far away from the adaptation but still got to be a good movie just in general because, it's just a good movie.
I really like what you said, Joaquin, because I mean that only goes to show that what makes a good book, doesn't necessarily make a good movie, wouldn't you say? Because that's the challenge for like movie makers. How do you make use of this new medium, all of this tech you have at your hands, and how do you make it accessible to people who may have seen the book before or people who are only going into it blind, And I think, like you said, the best movies, like, for you, Dune, Joker, for me, Heartstopper, and hopefully Percy Jackson will join the ranks,
Hopefully.
The best movies, I think, and TV series are the ones that keep the heart of what draws fans to the original books in the first place.
True.
Without sacrificing that, and while still making it accessible and entertaining for Hollywood audiences. But of course, that's just our take on it, so we'd love to hear your opinions on it over on our social media.
Yeah, you can follow us on Facebook. That's facebook.com/greengiantfm. And on Twitter and Spotify, you can follow us at greengiantfm.
We also have an Instagram that is at greengiant.fm. Don't forget the dot.
And we are also on YouTube. You can find us at bit.ly/ggfm-yt.
And that's it for the Real Deal podcast. Once again, this is DJ Phey.
This is DJ Cora.
This is DJ Dana.
And this is DJ Joaquin. Bye!
Bye, everyone!
Sorry, I wasn't prepared. Just wave.
Bye.
Bye.